Guys, wanted to talk to you about setting some targets for next year. So I kind of just broke down, this is just all random numbers. I probably didn't do that great of a job of like offsetting certain months, because the reality is we make a huge portion of our money, in this time frame from April, May, June, July, August, sometimes into September. We always make a huge part of our revenue for the entire year in those 4 to 5 months. And I didn't really offset that this much. I've only got a slight difference, but I still made a difference. You can see this is just a rough estimate for a company like 1.32 million. So for a company doing 1.32 million, I just chose a number and added this stuff up, but roughly there are some percentage points after each of these, which would add up to another like 5 points, because I'm like 5 points off. When I add up my percentage here, I only came up to 95%, but it doesn't really matter. It's just something to look at. So when you're projecting what you're going to do, the more history that you have, the better, because different years can just be different. Let's be honest. There can also be some certain jobs, like a big job that you don't get every single year, that might be thrown in there, and that can throw your numbers way off too if you're only looking from the past history of 1 year. So what we like to do is we like to look back 3 years, and we look back at the history of what we did each and every month, and then we'll do an average of those 3 years, and then based on whatever we decide that we want to grow for the next year, we'll add that percentage on to each month. And because our months in this business, in the HVAC business, can fluctuate due to demand service because of the weather, it helps to kind of have an understanding of what we're going to do each month as far as projecting your goals. It's one thing, like if you wanted to do 1.2 million, that would be 100,000 every month, right? If you just tried to simplify it and do it every month. But the reality is, our businesses don't go that way. We do have peaks and valleys. It's inevitable, because when it's hot, people need us. When it's cold, people need us. When it's 75 degrees and mild and beautiful outside, people don't always need us. That's where the marketing dollars can come in to help fill those gaps and to stay more consistent with your months. But you're always going to have some upswings during the hotter months or the colder months. So what we'll do in this situation, if I decide, you just have to decide, and I'm going to tell you right now, whatever you shoot for, don't be afraid to shoot for what you really want. I mean, within reason. Don't say, I'm going to grow by 150%. That may not happen. But let's say I just want to shoot for, like for me, I'm not just going to shoot for 10%. Not being at the size that we're about $2 million. I don't want to shoot for 10%. I'm going to shoot for no less than 25%. So let's say I was at 1.3 million and I wanted to grow 30%, or let's say 35%. Whatever it is, don't be afraid to add 5 points to it. Like if you think 25, let's shoot for 30. It's not going to hurt anything, other than you just got to be careful with morale. If you're not hitting your goals, your targets month after month after month, that can be a downer, because you've set some targets and you're just not hitting them. If that's the case, I know I've told you this in the past, don't move your finish line. But if you set such an unrealistic goal that there's just no possible way you're gonna hit it, I think for team morale, it is best to just go ahead and move the finish line, which means bring your goal back in a little bit so you can actually start hitting your goal and know that you're still growing. It may just not be at the pace that you originally set out to grow, because there's no shame in some growth. I don't care if it's by $10,000. At least you did something, you did more, you were able to do more. But I like to always shoot high. That's just because if I shoot for 30% growth and we only see 23%, am I going to be unhappy? No, I'm going to be ecstatic because we just grew by 23%. So you know what I'm saying. You got to balance it out that way. But if any way possible, take the past 3 years, figure out what the average was for each month. Okay, what was our average for the past 3 Januaries? Whatever that is, let's just say it was 75. And I want to grow, I'm going to say 25, I'm going to add 5%. I want to shoot for 30% growth, because we've done some things, some new things, whatever it is. Maybe you got that new sales process that you're going to try, or maybe you're going to actually add marketing to your business to actually gain more customers at a faster pace, other than referrals or word of mouth. I know that can be great, and you can go quite a ways with that, but let's face it, people are going to the internet when they're searching for your service. So if you want to aggressively grow, you've got to be there when people go to look for that service. So 75,000, let's say. 75,000, if I want to grow 30%, I'm just going to go plus 30%. Oops, 75,000 plus 30%. I would have to do 97.5. So I'm just going to put 97. That would be the new goal. February, we did 80,000. 80 plus, 80 plus 30%. We would have to do 104. 110 plus 30% is 143. So you get where I'm going with this. Once I've determined, it's kind of interesting also to look back and see what percentage, like this is what I was talking about earlier. I put these months too close together. You know, there's not a big enough separation. My lowest month's 75, my highest month's 140. That's probably a little unrealistic. You know, that month really I should have put like 190 or 210 or something, because you're going to have months where you just blow it out of the water, because it's just the way of our business. We have the hot seasons when people actually really need us, and we're running like crazy, and we're getting a bunch of overtime. It's just unfortunate that we can't spread it all out, but it's just reality. So because of that reality, it's interesting to see how much of your revenue comes from specific months. So you could do that easily just by, you know, I've kind of broken these down so I can see that, you know, we always did more money in May, June, July, and August, let's say, even though I've got some higher ones down here. But you can see 40% roughly, 38%, 38% of the revenue in this example came from these 4 months. So it's interesting to look at that once you have this data. So we just, Rick, my general manager, he just does a spreadsheet. And so we have them all listed out, shows what we did every month for the past, like, I don't know, 9 years, something like that. But it's just interesting to look back and see from where we were to where we are now. And but this is a quick, easy way to set some goals for your 2020 to make sure that you are aiming higher next year on these targets. But it always helps to have past data. So I hope this helps you guys. I hope you have went through this and have started to determine what those goals are going to be. If you have a good bookkeeper or accountant, they can do this too also in QuickBooks. And that's not my forte. I have no idea. But I know that my guy, he does it very quickly. So I think they can put it together very quickly if they know what they're doing. So you can either have them do it or you could do it yourself. It's however, but you got to set some targets and you got to know what you're aiming for each and every month. So this is the way that we've done it for many, many years. Now we have the bookkeeper do it, but we always still compare to ourselves to make sure that it's not too far off, that it's well within what we're aiming for. And take the average of those 3 years. Just don't forget that, because also, if you have a great big job that's thrown in the mix, like you did we did a $350,000 job one year. So if you're doing a great big job like that, it might be worth it that you know you're not going to do that same job again. Like there's just no way. Well, in my projections, I may just throw that out and say, okay, here's where here's where we really are without that big job, what's possible for us. So it might not be a bad idea to take some of those things out if it's a real anomaly that you're just not going to see recurring year after year after year. So anyhow, guys, be sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, comment below. Hope this helped you. We'll talk soon. Go make money. Boom.